time is 6 p.m. Today is Monday, May 4th, 2020. Miss Lisa Garcia, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Walter,
Here.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Wall,
Here.
Councilmember Larson,
Here.
Councilmember Cordes.
Here.
Miss Judy Hughes is absent today. Councilmember Hughes is absent today. We do have a quorum.
At this time, let's stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we will open up call to the public. Ms. Garcia, did anybody contact you today?
We did not receive any call to the public either by telephonically nor by email.
Okay, thank you so much. Item 6A is our presentation, proclamation May 2020 as Water Safety Month. Mr. John Nixon.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, it is indeed a pleasure for me to be able to discuss Water Safety Month. In the past, we've always proclaimed May 2020 as National Water Safety Month, which is extremely important in regards to the safety of all participants, whether they're at our pools or other locations. The National Water Safety Month is simply an annual awareness campaign coordinated by the Association of Pool and Spa Professionals and supported by NRPA, National Recreation and Parks Association, as well as the American Red Cross. These organizations, of course, represent businesses and other agencies involved in bringing safe and enjoyable aquatic activities to the American public, from home pools and spas, water parks, and of course to our own local aquatic center. As we all know, all of our department facilities unfortunately are closed and suspended in compliance with the governor's latest executive orders regarding COVID-19. We are not sure yet when restrictions will be lifted. When those orders are issued to lift closures, we will then eventually celebrate Water Safety Month with the annual Water Safety Day and season opening of the Aquatic Center. One thing to keep in mind is we will still need to make sure that all of our aquatic staff is lifeguard certified and WSIs for those with swim lessons. So even when the word comes down that we can open, it may take at least a couple of weeks to make sure that everybody's trained and certified, so we have a safe summer aquatics season.
Hi, this is Florence Mayor Tara Walter with a proclamation regarding Water Safety Month, May 2020. Whereas the citizens of the town of Florence recognize the vital role that swimming and aquatic-related activities relate to good physical and mental health and enhance the quality of life for all people. And whereas the citizens of the town of Florence understand the essential role that education regarding the topic of water safety plays in preventing drowning and recreational water-related injuries. And whereas the town of Florence is aware of the contributions made by the recreational water industry, as represented by the Association of Pool and Spa Professionals, the National Recreation and Park Association, and the World Water Park Association in developing safe swimming facilities, aquatic programs, home pools and spas, and related activities providing healthy places to recreate, learn and grow, build self-esteem, confidence, and sense of self-worth, which contributes to the quality of life in our community. And Whereas the citizens of the town of Florence recognize the ongoing efforts and commitments to educate the public on pool and spa safety issues and initiatives by the pool, spa, water park, recreation, and parks industries. And whereas the citizens of the town of Florence understand the vital importance of communicating water safety rules and programs to families and individuals of all ages, whether owners of private pools, users of public swimming facilities, or visitors to water parks. Now therefore I, Tara Walter, Mayor of the town of Florence, Arizona, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2020 as National Water Safety Month. Our next presentation for this evening is a proclamation for May 2020 as Historic Preservation Month. Miss Barbara Rice. And then when we're not speaking, let's go ahead and mute the microphone.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members, the month of May is designated National Historic Preservation Month throughout the country. And by proclaiming May 2020 as Historic Preservation Month here in the town of Florence, we have the opportunity to highlight the contributions that historic preservation makes to the resiliency, integrity of our historic core. The celebration of National Historic Preservation Month gives the town of Florence the opportunity to recognize our community's integrity, and as well as those individuals who have contributed their time and expertise to improving that integrity. Historic preservation provides an opportunity for all residents and visitors to be meaningfully involved in preserving the history of our community. The full benefits of historic preservation require an entire community to understand, support, and demand excellence in the preservation of the historic fabric of our community. And historic preservation helps to make communities safer, more attractive, and more resilient. So a vote of no would mean we would not proclaim it as Historic Preservation Month. And a vote of yes would allow us to proclaim May 2020 as Historic Preservation Month in the town of Florence.
This is Mayor Tara Walter with a Historic Preservation Month proclamation for May 2020. Whereas the National Trust for Historic Preservation established May as Historic Preservation Month in 1973 to promote historic places for the purpose of instilling national and community pride, promoting heritage tourism, and showing the social and economic benefits of historic preservation. And whereas the town of Florence recognizes May as Historic Preservation Month, and whereas Historic Preservation Month can instill awareness of the local historically significant buildings and landmarks to the residents of Florence and surrounding area. And whereas Historic Preservation Month can promote the region's largest source of heritage tourism, Florence Downtown Historic District, located in the town of Florence, Arizona. And whereas historic preservation can be a community discussion, uniting residents behind an important cause. And whereas historic preservation has been shown to nationally create jobs, stabilize property values, and preserve existing historic buildings. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Florence, Arizona does recognize May 2020 as National Historic Preservation Month, and hereby proclaim May 2020 as Historic Preservation Month and call upon the residents of the town of Florence to recognize and participate in this special observance. Passed and approved this 4th day of May, 2020. Okay, thank you. Item number C is a redevelopment plan and general update plan updates due to COVID-19 precautions. Ms. Barbara Rice.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and honorable council members, as you are aware, we are involved in 2 ongoing long-range planning projects. And this report is to update you as to the status and impacts of the COVID-19 precautions that are in place. The redevelopment plan update is on track and moving forward. A second public open house was held in council chambers on March 12th, and there were approximately 30 participants who all had the opportunity to review the potential land use map and several of the development scenarios that were presented to them. The input was gathered by our consultants, and they are using that to move forward to prepare a draft document at this time. The online citizens survey will remain on the town's website to receive additional comments. We expect to receive an initial draft around the 1st of May, although that has been delayed slightly due to current COVID-19 limitations and restrictions for businesses. Public participation will continue once the COVID-19 precautions are lifted. And then that participation will include public meetings with Planning and Zoning Commission, the Historic District Advisory Commission, and ultimately the Town Council for adoption. We are still compliant with the scope of work of our contract with our consultants, and a hard timeline is not specified, so there is no such amendment that we would need to make to the original contract for any type of extension. Our consultant is still on board, and we are on task with this project. With regard to the general plan update, our consultant is still in the research phase and gathering data for this project. The scope of work does not anticipate formal public input or meetings to be initiated until around midsummer of this year. We are currently working with the consultant on the gathering of that information and other preliminary work that's needed for the general plan update. And we anticipate receiving initial data to review this month. We are still compliant with the scope of work of our contract, and a hard timeline for it has not been specified, so we would not need to amend our original contract. The only thing that's time sensitive with regard to the general plan update is meeting the schedule for a fall 2022 public vote as prescribed by the state statute. Does anyone have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I do. Barbara, do you have a target date for the draft?
We do not at this time, because the consultants, like the rest of us, have taken precautions for COVID-19. They have some limited staffing, so we do not have a timeline for the draft. Originally, both drafts of both projects were supposed to be the month of May, and we should still be seeing those come in, I would think, by the end of May, if not the 1st of June.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you very much for that portion of the update. Is there anything additional? All right, moving on. Our consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda unless a council member or a member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. Item A is resolution number 1730-20. This is an adoption resolution of the town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, authorizing the town to enter into a grant agreement with the City of Tucson Police Department regarding the Arizona High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area. Item B is resolution number 1738-20, which is an adoption of a resolution of the town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, designating the chief fiscal officer for officially submitting the fiscal year 2021 expenditure limitation report to the Arizona Auditor General. Item C is authorization to contract with S.J. Anderson Company to address age and weather-related deterioration of exterior town hall in an amount not to exceed $58,632.92. Item D is approval of accepting the register of demands ending March 31st, 2020 in the amount not to exceed $2,021,754.84. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your consent agenda. Is there anybody who would like any item removed at this time? With that, we need a motion.
Make a
Make a
motion
motion
to
we
approve
approve
the
the consent agenda.
second.
Karen and I make a motion.
So we have two tie motions and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 8 is new business. Discussion, approval, disapproval of a contract with Terracon Consultants Incorporated for construction material testing in an amount not to exceed $150,000 and void the existing professional services contract entered into on September 3rd, 2019. Mr. Christopher Salas.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. We previously entered a contract with Terracon to perform construction material testing, consulting services related to geotechnical investigations, as well as soils report for structural designs of roadways. We have already used this original contract up amount for stuff as an asbestos investigation, a geotechnical investigation, and some construction materials testing. We have a few other additional projects that we would like to use that this fiscal year or in an additional fiscal year of next year. Are there any questions regarding this contract?
Yes, I have some. I guess specifically, what are we looking to spend $150,000 on, Chris?
I believe we have a future project coming up for Arizona Farms Road. We have an overlay project that we would like to use this for the construction materials testing. We have a project coming up on highway in the near future that we'd like to use this for construction materials testing. And so we probably have somewhere between 20 and 40,000 of immediate need on this, as well as any, again, future projects that we may have. We use them for, we use them for Fire Station 2 as well.
Is this going to come out of the general budget or is this HERF money?
This should always be HERF related. There should never be an expense on the general fund as it relates to construction materials testing. We did use a very, very small amount. The town manager had us do an asbestos investigation for the property that the project we referred to as 220-230, which would be the Main Street project. We used less than $4,000 to do some asbestos investigation that was related to the general fund, but 99 times out of 100, this would be a HERF related expense.
I hope so. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions regarding this agenda item? With that, we need a motion.
Make a motion to authorize a contract with Terracon Consultants utilizing contract number ADSP 019-208305.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And that motion carries. Item number 9 is our manager's report. Mr. Brent Billingsley.
Madam Mayor, members of council, I actually have quite a few things to share with you this evening. The first has to do with the Florence Transportation, our regional transportation study. As you just heard a presentation from Barbara with respect to the status of our 2 other ongoing studies, I thought it would be appropriate to provide a brief update on the regional transportation plan because it is stuck in a similar fate as one studies before, in that a significant amount of work has taken place, and that study is ready to be buttoned up and completed. However, COVID-19 has really restricted our ability to have a public hearing and to give the public an ample chance to once again comment with respect to the study. So this study was started in 2019, many of you will remember, and we got our initial draft from the consultant in early January of this year. It was advertised for public comment in the local newspaper, and there was a public comment period that went throughout the month of January. And then there was a public open house held as well as a presentation to council on January 21st. Outside of that process, town staff and the project leads held 2 public open houses and over 32 participants outside of staff listened to those presentations and provided input on the draft study. Guidance was also provided on the study through a technical advisory committee that held 3 different meetings as different technical documents were produced on that study over the last year. Those advisory committee meetings included 20 participants and had representatives from the town of Florence, Central Arizona Governments, Pinal County, Central Arizona Regional Transit, EDOT, Maricopa Association of Governments, and Pulte Homes. All the comments from those entities on the technical reports were integrated in the document, and it was provided to council for their review in February. And we've assembled the comments from council as well to button that study up. The last thing that has to occur with respect to this is we're going to hold one more public hearing and take this to council for adoption. However, we don't want to do that until we open our council meetings back up to the public and give folks an ample opportunity to come out and speak to it in an unabated fashion at that time. So the hearings that were supposed to occur in April have been pushed to May, and now the May hearings are being pushed to June. So we're hoping to bring this document the first meeting in June for that additional public hearing and potential council adoption. That was my first item. Second item is my COVID-19 update. Statewide numbers continue to increase. A lot of that has to do with testing being at an all-time high. There are 8,919 confirmed cases in Arizona. It's resulted in 362 deaths as of this morning. 468 confirmed positive cases in Pinal County, 13 deaths in Pinal County. There are 75 confirmed cases in Florence's zip code, 85132. As you probably know, Governor Ducey had a press conference earlier today, which he called Reopening the Arizona Economy. Starting on May 8th, barbers and salons will be able to open in a limited capacity, and they're laying out the guidelines for that from the CDC. And then on May 11th, restaurants will be permitted to open again with strict CDC approved protective measures. But those are both 2 excellent steps in moving forward to reinitiate our economy. The state still has the stay home initiative in place, and that's going to be reassessed on the 15th of this month unless you are associated with essential services. State's still recommending telecommute and telework as a best practice, but we're looking very forward to these next steps to try and, like I said, reinvigorate the economy. One of the things that I've been asked from council previously is, how are we looking in terms of the prisons in Florence? As it stands now, 5 cases in Iman, 47 positive cases in Florence, and there are 13 pending tests in Florence. ADOC has reported that they've had 46 staff members that have tested positive, and that 24 of those staff members have recovered. ICE also has provided that there are 10 cases at the Florence facility. We don't have any information from GEO or Core Civic. So that's my COVID-19 update. The last thing that I have on the manager's report tonight is the Florence Police Department, as last week, is now operating under 12-hour shifts. So we've gone from 10-hour shifts to 12-hour shifts. This is something that officers have wanted for the past 4 years, and something that I had worked with Chief Hughes on last year in terms of the potential of incorporating and initiating our shifts. But there were a number of things that had to take place in order to allow that to happen. What does 12-hour shifts mean? I didn't mean four, remove the four. What does 12-hour shifts mean? It means we get to increase our staffing levels from the 4 we run now to 5, and with an additional sergeant, because there'll be a sergeant on each shift. So we're going to have more police officers on the beat. We anticipate a reduction in overtime. 12-hour shifts are something that are used a lot in law enforcement and are referred to as what's the team concept. So essentially, each sergeant on each shift is going to be responsible for their team, and until the shifts are reset, they'll have their same team that they work with on the same days. So it optimizes span of control and assists us with professional development. It also allows officers, we believe, additional opportunities to engage in more proactive policing because of the additional staff that we'll have during periods. And Chief also believes it gives him an opportunity to devote more time to staff development and additional community policing programs. The way that it will work is officers will work together and they'll train together teams, and they'll have conformity and consistency on calls when they're out in the field. Thus far, since we incorporated the 12-hour shifts, I talked to Bruce today, the officers and the sergeants are very happy. That was my manager's report for tonight.
Thank you very much. Also, on that COVID-19 update, did we have any further clarification in regards to the database that the prison utilizes to report versus the zip code? Because we do know that there have been deaths in that zip code, but based out of the prison, that has not shown up on the zip code report. So based on if you talk to the state straight to the governor's office or DHS or Pinal County EOC, I'm getting a different answer every time as to if that information is incorporated or if it's not incorporated. And granted, you're looking at approximately 100 people difference and not including any deaths, but it does make a difference to some of our citizens.
Yes, ma'am. Ben and I have gone through this many times, and Mayor, you sat in a meeting with me 2 weeks ago with the director of prisons, and when we asked these questions, we're told everything's up to date. But when you look at the databases side by side, there continues to be discrepancies. That's reported by the time you look at what comes from the prisons and what is available on state websites like the Department of Health. I know it came to my attention, you brought it to my attention this morning, that there are 2 different state websites, both run by state entities, that say it's the same data and the numbers are different. Thank God I don't have to track this on a daily basis. Mr. Bitter does that, but we just try to use the best information that we receive and report the consensus to you guys, but there continues to be mathematical inaccuracies, I guess, in terms of the data that's provided.
And then also with our governor's most recent orders today and conversations, moving forward and reevaluating our town opening of some of our facilities. Would you like to share a little bit of that as well? Okay.
Sure. I mean, we've been tracking everything that happens at the federal level, at the state level. was a surprise. The governor had a surprise press conference today that wasn't previously scheduled, and we were able to watch that press conference and track that. We're excited from a staff perspective that the economy is hopefully going to get reinvigorated here with some reduction in the force from the executive orders and what they've had in terms of what we're able to do and not. I'm meeting with our internal team as well as consulting with the county tomorrow in terms of what that means. And I've already sent out an initial email to some of our executive management staff saying that it's time that we look at going from what we call phase 2 potentially to phase 1. But I don't want to make any announcements or anything until we have that meeting and we consult with the folks that we need to consult with. But I think it's time that we look from going from phase 2 to phase 1 and opening some of our facilities back.
Well, thank you very much for your update tonight. And we want to also say thank you to you as well as Chief Walls for your assistance with the Main Street today and ensuring that there's some additional patrol going forward and working with those business owners that have been the unfortunate target of some not so appropriate choices.
Thank you.
Our next item is our call to the public. Ms. Garcia, did anybody call in?
We have not received any phone calls, nor have we received any emails.
Okay, thank you. Our last item is call to the council. Call to the council. I am going to start with, I'm going to go bottom all the way zigzag up. So Councilmember Larson.
I don't have anything tonight. I think that, I guess, in general, I have had discussions with Brent about reopening and what that would look like. And I'm eager to see how everything unfolds. I want to support our local businesses and make sure that we're also doing it in a healthy way where we can protect our citizens. So I'm eager to find some unique ways to be able to socialize again with people and bring some of those recreational activities back to the community. So I'm just eager to hear what we have to decide and what our options are and moving forward. So that's all I really have.
Thank you. Councilmember Wall.
Well, just a couple things. I attended the virtual Pinal Partnership meeting on the 24th of April, and it consisted of town managers from all over our region, including Brent. And I thought it was really interesting the different ways that the towns are dealing with the COVID-19 slowdown, if you will. I thought Brent did a very good job of presenting our challenges, particularly as it relates to our prisons being in a rather unique situation. Some of the things that were suggested were some of the towns are doing a drive-through library. They're emphasizing cross-training among the various town employees so that each one has a ability to fill in when needed. Obviously, budget planning is becoming a real challenge, I think, not only for us, but for other towns as well. And of course, everyone is interested in knowing how best to restart the town services and the various businesses within the town that are being impacted. I thought it was really interesting. I think the video of that conference is available on Pinal Partnership's Facebook page. Also, I wanted to recognize the fact that beginning on the 3rd yesterday and through the end of this week on the 9th is the recognition of Municipal Clerks Week. And if you get a chance, be sure to thank our wonderful town clerk for all that she does for each and every one of us. And last, I have a question. I have not seen any indication that the powwow has been canceled for May. It would be the last one. Does anybody know if that is going to take place on the 23rd of May?
I wish I had an answer for you. We got to see how a couple things play. So we'll get out information to you guys as soon as we know.
Okay, so I'm assuming that if it is a go, it will be announced on our social media pages.
Yes, ma'am. We'll get it out. It's one to talk about.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you. Everyone stay healthy.
Thank you. You too. Councilmember Cortez?
I don't have a lot. As far as powwow, I know that they've been holding them throughout the state. And it's been the ones that did do it, everything was prepackaged and handed to you as you drove through. So instead of where you got to go through the line on foot, they were doing it by car and everything was already packaged up and they just put it in your car to avoid any contact. So that could be an option for us. And as far as just, I'm eager to see our small businesses, and not just small businesses, because there are large businesses that have been forced to close as well. I'm eager to see them get open. I understand people's concerns about health and safety, but as a small business owner myself, I understand what it's like to go from having a paycheck to having no paycheck. Like many of our small businesses have had to lay off employees, people that are in the food service. You don't need 20 waitresses anymore. You only need 2 to help you do the takeout. So it's affecting more than just health. It's affecting people's ability to survive financially. And it's going to take us a while to overcome everything, health and the economic impact this has had, not just on our little town, but our state and the country and even the world. The world is financially being affected by this. And so I just ask everybody that, again, as people make the decisions they make for them and their family, that we all be respectful and kind and try to help each other out and understand everybody has their own reason for what they're doing, and not to be nasty and mean to each other because somebody makes a different choice than what maybe you would make or you are making. So I just wish everybody to stay safe and help everyone as we slowly try to reopen our town.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Anderson?
Thank you. I have a couple things. One, I'm sort of disappointed because of what's going on right now. We did all of our historical recognition tonight, and it sort of bothers me that we have so many people involved in our historic district and so many people involved in our historical committees that didn't get recognized because they can't participate. So I hope that we somehow, when we get open, we have some kind of historical recognition, maybe it's 4th of July or some of our events that we promote our historic district and all the stuff that's going on in our town, down in the historic area. So the other thing, I participated in the Pinnell Partnership also, and Karen was right. It was very interesting. There was a lot of things that each town was doing differently, but there was a lot of things that we were doing the same. So I think we all learned some tricks that different people were doing, and I'm so glad that we had that, and Brent did an excellent job for us. And well, the other thing I wanted to recognize is that the chamber has been promoting the training that the state is offering. And I don't know if any of our people have taken advantage of it, but Roger has certainly advertised it. We're trying to get people involved in that. I hope they do take advantage of it. Has anybody heard of anything going on in that area?
In regards to the programs and the trainings, I know that some of our businesses have taken advantage of going through them, as well as 2 businesses have received funding, and I don't know how many for certain, but about 3 or 4 that I know of did apply.
Oh, good. Great. That's great. Wonderful. Well, thank you. That's all I have tonight.
Excellent. Well, I just want to say thank you to the whole team because these past 40 something days, I mean, it's been easy to lose track of days. We've had more meetings and information thrown at us from so many different sources, and trying to keep community informed and neighbors informed and working together. I just want to say thank you. I'm glad to be such like a part of such an amazing team. And you're right, John, with our historic, they do so much in and for our community, and we just wanted to make sure that we started out the month recognizing them. I think that we do a great job of recognizing them throughout the year, and you know, they definitely shine, especially when our February comes around with our historic home tours, but that's just one small time out of the whole year that they shine and continue to do so much for, you know, our visitors as well as our citizens. So I'm hoping that June we'll possibly be back in our council chambers for meetings, depending on how things go. We'll have to wait and see what the governor says on the 15th, and we'll just keep everybody informed. With that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.